back to y'all hearing this podcast version. We've got voguing Honeybee over here. My name is Kay. Thank you guys so much for coming back.
My name is Honeybee, or you can call me B.
So we are a music appreciation podcast / YouTube reaction channel, and what we do every week, we pick a theme. We each pick a song for that theme.
We do.
Watch or listen to the music, react to each other's picks, and then here on the podcast we get into a little bit more. Talk about the meaning behind it, why we picked it, all that
meat and
stuff.
potatoes.
Exactly.
All of that.
So we thank you guys so much for coming to the podcast. It is a huge help to us. So please definitely like, subscribe, comment down below, give us
all of that.
Exactly. Give us some suggestions on what you would pick for this theme. Give us some theme suggestions.
Yes.
We do also have this on all like the streaming services and things like that too. So you can definitely go check those out, rate and review. That really
that
helps
description box.
Yep, exactly.
Click on it. I'm saying.
And we also have a Patreon out there. We have started adding a lot more stuff to it. We do monthly music movies. I have been doing, now that we've been kind of getting into the K-pop stuff on Fridays, I've been reacting to some Run BTS. Yeah. We definitely want to do more. So yeah. Also give us suggestions for that. Like what shows, what concerts, what do you want us to react to?
Yeah, like what do you want to see? What do you want us to react to?
Yeah, more long form stuff, stuff that may not really work out well on YouTube kind of thing.
Right.
But anyway.
Yes, I'm here for it. And like she nailed it. Yeah. Bada bing, bada boom.
And done.
Period. Well, tell me what the theme is, girl. Yeah. Because I'm excited.
I know. We had such a good time this week. So
my gosh.
We decided, because it's spooky season, that we decided we were going to do this week murder mystery theme. And it was really tough picking this song.
It really was. Because it was so hard.
Yeah. I seriously actually my roommate gave me the idea of, like, he's like, well, what's a murder mystery movie that you love, and pick something out the soundtrack. So literally the first thing that came to my mind was Clue. But there's not really like much.
I used to love that movie.
I love that movie so much. It's so good. Oh my goodness.
Like one of those old, like, cheesy satire type of, like, just...
What do you call an old... It was within my lifetime.
Listen, we are not that far apart, young lady. Okay, listen. Okay, I remember it. I loved it. It had that It had that Naked Gun and a Half type of comedy.
Yeah.
Like those are like my favorite. Who was in that? Was that Steve Martin?
Leslie Nielsen.
In 33, like Naked Gun and all that. But I always thought that was Steve Martin. I always thought his name was Steve Martin for some reason. No,
Steve Martin is in the Only Murders in the Building now, and he was in Father of the Bride, like the one from the 90s.
Okay.
He was on SNL for a long time and stuff.
Was he also the one that was in the Pink Panther?
Yes.
Okay, so that's who I'm thinking of.
Again, the remake of the Pink Panther.
Or the remake, excuse me. Yes, the remake. Yes. But it was, I feel like it was hard because I also was thinking too, and we've talked about this, like when we knew October was coming, we were like, we don't want to pick the generic songs that everybody would think that we would
or
pick.
Even like themes, although we did have a Halloween theme, because of course you have to, but.
Right. But it was just like really trying to think outside of the box. So I feel like I literally thought about it and I was like, ooh, I'm going to pick a song that literally is like a mystery and like murder and true crime all in one, which is why I picked my song. Yeah. So, but it was hard. That shit was hard.
It was.
Okay. That's how much we love y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We went chin.
Yeah, because we're like, we're like, that's a great theme. And then we're like, well, wait a minute.
Right. And then we're like, we got to get these songs together. And then we were like, Well, everybody, this will be the last episode. Cancel that forever. But like it was tough. Yeah. But it was cool though. I think it challenged.
It was fun. Yeah, for sure. So with mine, I kind of went pretty literal. I mean, it's all in the title. Yeah. But I, looking it up, because I was like, I looked up the lyrics to a couple different things, because I think I talked about this on mine, but I almost picked like Murder She Wrote.
Yeah! Murder, she wrote.
Because it's such a good song, but when you look at the lyrics, there's like nothing about, you know, so I was like, I want to hear it, but I'll put it on a playlist. And I'm sure it'll come back at some point.
It might come back
because I'm sorry, now it's going to be stuck in all of your heads as well. And
Murder, she wrote.
Exactly.
No.
So I went with Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads, which is just such a fun song, which I know it makes no sense with the title and everything. And so I actually did find an article about it because there's a couple different things. So let's see. So this is from Far Out Magazine, which is apparently from the UK. And this is from August 10th, 2021 by Tyler Golson. So on August 10th, 1977, David Berkowitz, son of Sam, was arrested. 24-year-old postal worker was an Army vet with an honorable discharge. Despite being viewed as a loner, he really showed no public signs of mental disturbance besides pyromania as a child. And he pled guilty to the 8 shootings he was indicted of. So David Byrne, who's the lead singer of Talking Heads, has continuously denied that the Son of Sam killings were the inspiration behind their first hit. However, the similarities in content and the eerie timing between the arrest of Berkowitz and the single's release a few months later were enough for the public to forever associate the two together. And that's kind of in my head what I've kind of always thought it was about. The truth was that David Byrne actually began writing the song years before he had even committed a crime. And it started with his college band, The Artistics, which also included the Talking Heads drummer, Chris Franz. This is when they were at RISD. So Rhode Island.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, RISD.
There's a lot of people who came out of RISD. They were in a similar vein to Roxy Music, art rock kind of thing. But unfortunately, they broke up after less than a year. And then they, Byrne and Franz both moved to New York City. But actually the initial inspiration behind the song was the macabre stage antics of Alice Cooper, which is funny. When I started writing this, I got help later. I imagined Alice Cooper doing a Randy Newman type ballad.
Not Randy Newman! Ow!
Byrne explained in the liner notes for the compilation album Once in a Lifetime Best of Talking Heads. Both the Joker and Hannibal Lecter were much more fascinating than the good guys. It's pretty true. Everybody sort of roots for the bad guys in movies. When it comes to bad guys in rock and roll, nobody reveled in the antagonistic role more than Cooper. Which is true. He explained that over time, the lyrics began to fall into place. And actually the line, "You start a conversation, you can't even finish it," was a last minute addition as the band were recording, so much so that the new lyrics didn't even make it into the lyric sheet.
Wow.
So he was stuck on the bridge. He wanted something foreign and less direct in the verses, something to represent kind of like Jekyll and Hyde type of split personality. And so he had been to the UK and Canada, but he was only fluent in English. So Tina Weymouth, who was the drummer, Franz's girlfriend, knew French, and so that's when she added in the French part of it.
Whoa.
Yep.
Side note, I dig it. I'm such a music nerd to the point where like I love learning about like people don't realize that in order for these like album booklets to be printed by a certain time, it's like you have to have all the lyrics submitted by a certain time.
Yeah.
And half the time a lot of artists won't. So it makes it harder. Like, for instance, like, I feel like Destiny's Child's album is the first thing that I thought of when you said that was The Writings on the Wall. And I remember opening it up and there was no lyrics to look at.
Yeah.
And I was like, no! And that was like when they were known for their speed singing, like on like Bugaboo. They were like, it's not hard that you be calling me Sesame Patient, my people, you just not stop. Like, it used to like stress me out. So like, it's funny that they were like worried about like, well, not worried about it, but they actually didn't even make it.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I thought that was really neat that, you know, it was, not really about it. But yeah, so let's look at the Genius. Hold on. I hope if I go to the right thing here.
Yes.
But it's from their 1977 album Talking Heads 77, very original name there. Possibly the most well-known Talking Heads song, and it reached number 99 on the Billboard singles chart.
Real quick question. I don't know if you've ever looked it up, but do you know why they picked the name Talking Heads?
I don't.
That's really interesting because it's just when you think about it, I'm like, that's so smart.
Yeah.
That's so smart. We should have a theme where it's like, the theme is like most interesting band names or something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm sorry.
Oh, come on. It's Eiffel 65. They did it by...
Listen.
Computer program.
Okay, the Blue Man Group. That should be a theme. We're gonna try to each find, no matter where it is in the world, the funniest band names. And we're just gonna pick one of the songs.
Yep.
Oh, God.
So this was also the first song off of the 1984 album and the film Stop Making Sense, with Byrne backed only by a boombox and his acoustic guitar announcing, "Hi, I've got a tape I want to play." Which actually we should watch Stop Making Sense some point. That's a good documentary. So it's by the Jonathan Demme, who did Silence of the Lambs, the director. But anyway, he did like this concert.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, of them.
That's
and
dope.
So much fun. I love their music. They're very, like, even if you don't know the songs, it's like fun and And I think I was telling you, they have a Broadway musical from a couple years ago. Not musical, but like show. Yeah. And it's on HBO now. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I think it's called like American Music or something like that.
Their music is very vibey. That's what I like. I like it because it's vibey, but it's still like...
And so
it's like intentional still.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's the right term.
Yeah. But... And in the Broadway show, they brought in all sorts of different instruments, like from all around the world, like all different, like drums and different.
Eclectic. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. That's the word I'm looking up.
Art rock is a good term for that.
Yes. So, art rock. Come on. Just like Gaga does art pop. Hey.
Yep. So yeah, but I really love it. It's such a great song. All right. So it was written by Tina Weymouth, Chris Frantz, and David Byrne. The engineer was Ed Stasium. Background vocals Jerry Harrison. Their label is Sire Records. But yeah,
that's so dope.
Yeah. It's such a good song. I love it. I mean, obviously, I know it's tough to say. I love I don't love murderers. That is not what I'm trying to say here. I love hearing about like true crime.
Yes.
And the Son of Sam killings are insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever watched a documentary on them or whatever, but there was an interesting one from Netflix a couple years ago that was like a conspiracy theory kind of one. Yeah.
I think it was called like the Lost Tapes or something like that, or the Confession Tapes or something like that. There was a documentary, but it's so funny because the Son of Sam, right? Mm-hmm. Son of Sam, yeah. Whatever.
That was the one in New York with the shootings.
Is that the like that's the same?
SOS, yeah.
That's the same as the one you're talking about in the article, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Child, there's so many of them.
Oh, I know.
From that time period, that's what like they call it the golden age of serial killers, which is terrifying.
And that's a great movie too with Adrian Brody. Anyway.
I know. I want to see it. I heard it's really, really good.
It is. I love Adrian Brody.
But side note, just thinking of it, like. I get what you're saying, but that like time period, I always get the Son of Sam serial killer mixed up with the Zodiac killer.
Oh yeah, well, just opposite coasts.
That's what it is.
So Son of Sam was in New York, and it was the couples, and then the Zodiac killer, also in cars though a lot, but I don't think it was always couples, right? Mm-hmm. It's been so long since I've like read about them, but that's super interesting too.
No, and it's like. It's just like when you think about it and it goes with like spooky season. Yeah. That's why I was like, your song was like the perfect pick. Mm-hmm. Side note real quick, because I know you guys are watching at home. If you guys see me potentially yawn, I promise you I'm not bored. I'm not tired. I have acid reflux and every time I get heartburn, I always yawn. So I promise you, I'm not tired. I'm not bored. Just a quick disclaimer, because we keep it real around here. Yeah. So my song.
Yes, I know. You picked such a good one that you never heard before.
So my song was by the incomparable Jazmine Sullivan. Mm-hmm. Jazmine Sullivan is a R&B soul, like everything. Like she just sings down. Like Beyonce has said multiple times that is one of her favorite singers, to the point that this year at Beyonce's 41st birthday party back in September last month, she had Jazmine Sullivan perform So
cool. Can you imagine getting a call from someone be like, so Beyonce wants you to, okay, whatever it is, I'm there.
Right. Beyonce wants you to perform at her party. So she is just absolutely insane, and she's an incredible, more than just a singer, she is an incredible artist, and she's an incredible writer. And she actually wrote a lot of songs that we love and hear today that came out of like the late 2000s. You know, she actually did a song that Beyonce ended up doing that is known now to the Beehive, which is called Resentment. She also did a song with Christina Milian called Say I that was like huge back in like late 2000s. So it's just, she's just an all around, again, just a crazy, incredibly talented artist. So I ended up picking her song that came off of her second album, which her second album is called Love Me Back, and the song is called Redemption. So just to give you guys a little history on the album, Love Me Back is the second album by Jazmine Sullivan. It was released in November of 2010 on J Records, which J Records at the time was the new record label started by Clive Davis after he left Arista. So J Records was like, it was like his big, like it was a big deal. And J Records, actually, their first signed artist to J Records was Alicia Keys. And that's how Alicia Keys' whole career started. And so many artists were there too. But her second album was featured producers Missy Elliott, Neo, No ID, Salam Remy, and so many others. And so I was looking up information on the actual song, and because it wasn't a single, there's not much there at all. But just to kind of break it down to why I chose this song, when I was thinking about murder mystery, I was like, it'd be dope to find a song where it literally was a murder mystery, like telling a story. And so the first couple of songs I really thought about was like Rihanna's Man Down. There was that song, and I think it was by Garth Brooks, or oh no, I think it was Carrie Underwood. Carrie Underwood had a song called "Blown Away," so I was like, "Ooh, let me pick something that was completely left field." I thought you were going to say something like Johnny Cash. Oh no! But when I listened to the words in this song, I was like, "Oh my god, this is perfect." So the first verse, and I won't read the whole thing, but just to give you guys some excerpts, the first verse talks about a woman who basically is being controlled by a man, and he was like basically saying like, I want you back on the streets, and she'll do anything for a fix. So the song begins with, he said he never want to see me on the block. I said, I don't need you, but I need the rock. And then it says, I couldn't take it, so I had to go see him, stole my mama's car and drove around all evening. And when I found him, I thought that he would lace me. I ain't got no money, but you know I'll let you taste me. He pulled his gun out and told me I was stupid. I started crying, prayed to God he wouldn't do it. Help me, please, Lord. I plead, just save me. He's the sinner. Hear my sinner's prayer. This is my redemption song.
And we watched a lyric video too, so if you guys want like the full song, definitely go check out
because it's something different. Like when you read the words, it's like, and I felt that too because we had said it, I think, during our video where we were just like, it was so like, you don't know what the song's about, and then you're like, wait, what?
Well, that was like, it really confused me because at first I thought she was like, and I said this in the reaction video, I was like, that like her life? Like I was like, you know, I don't really know much about her like personally, and like, you know, so but it really, because she really like drops you into that situation.
And like all of her music does that. Like she just grabs you and just like demands your attention with her words. And that to me is what makes a great songwriter. And so the second verse she talks about, it's kind of like the roles reverse, and it's talking about, you know, this other guy who has been abusing this woman, and she had enough, and she went and grabbed a gun. And what's cool about the whole song is like you don't know what happens.
Yeah, there's no like resolution.
Like it leaves you literally. It's a cliffhanger. Like she literally, it felt like she did a whole horror movie in the moment of a song.
It's like those 2-sentence horror stories you read sometimes. You know what I mean? Like the people and like. Oh, I love it when people can tell a story like that. I love it.
I do too. I love when it makes you a good story, in my opinion, like scary story or like scary sentence, anything, statement, is ones that just, when you read it, it just gives you that like, oh, like that little like shiver, like, oh.
It's like listening to radio rental sometimes.
Yes!
There will be like one line
that
just goes
right up your...
And you have to like stop it. You're like, okay, we need to listen to some happy music right now.
We need to just switch and redirect. Like, for real though.
I love stories like that. It's so good. And that one was, I love the chorus too. Like, this is my redemption song, hear the sinner's prayer. Like, I really loved it. Because it had kind of shades, obviously. It was like, well, I'm not sure, but it gave me kind of like callback vibes to Bob Marley's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was just such a good feel. And so the song was produced by Anthony Bell. The song was also written by Steve McGowan, and Steve Mickey and Anthony Bell, and actually Questlove is featured on drums.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love him. You know what I have not watched yet, and I want to so bad.
Is his documentary?
That's another one that needs to be done for the musical movie.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to watch it so badly.
I have not watched it yet because I have been wanting to watch it, so that definitely should be one of our musical movies.
Yeah.
But when I think of again, like storytelling or whatever, and like trying to find those songs that really tell a story, this one really stuck out. And it's funny too because listening to it, where the part she's talking about like, help me Lord, cry, hear my prayer, all that stuff, it instantly made me think, which is our stay what topic for this week. We're gonna segue right into it.
Nice. That was a brilliant segue.
Yes.
You rode that thing right in.
Yes, I sure did. Right on in. But it made me think of the Dahmer series that just came out. Because one of the main characters played by Niecy Nash, her name is Glenda. And
I love her. Niecy Nash anyway.
I love Niecy Nash. Shout out to Niecy Nash. Like, oh my God. She better get every fucking award for this show. But it made me think of it because she literally was consistently calling the police and crying to them and trying to get help. Or she would literally be crying and like praying like or saying whatever because of how... I mean, her vent was connected to Jeffrey's. Yeah. And so she could hear everything happening in there. And she would literally be sitting there on her couch, hearing these men scream and cry and
was she one of the people who ate like a sandwich?
So Jeffrey tried to get her to eat a sandwich.
And she didn't.
And she said, get the hell out of my house. He sat there and he stood up and he just looked at her and you could tell that she was nervous, but she just kind of looked back like... Well,
I mean, in the dramatic retelling.
Right. But the second he walked out, she literally started quivering and like she stood her ground and it was like one of those pivotal moments. But when he tried to get her to eat the sandwich, he literally was like, it was very much like, what's love got to do with it? Like, eat the cake, anime. Like, it was very much like, eat the sandwich, Glenda. And she was like, I don't want no damn sandwich. And he was like, eat the sandwich. And he was like, eat it. Eat the sandwich. Eat it. And she was like, no! Yeah. Like, I don't want no sandwich. Like, and she was like, get out my house. Like, for real. And instantly, but like her cries and everything made me think of the Jazmine Sullivan song. Yeah. But talking about this Dahmer series and, you know, it's spooky season and whatnot. If you guys don't know, we love ourselves some true crime.
We do.
I am a true crime buff. I have watched the series. I watched it literally in 2 days. Evan Peters deserves every fucking award.
He's such a good actor. Really
I literally said that he's his generation's like Daniel Day-Lewis or like
Day-Lewis, yeah.
Day-Lewis, yes. Daniel Day-Lewis or like the Meryl Streep. Yeah. Because he literally can play any fucking part. And he only picks like if you notice like the uncomfortable. Yeah. Like he nails it. And I think it might have been you that told me about how he had to have a staff on set. Was it you that told me that? Mm-hmm. That he had that. So when he was filming this, because of how the reason that it has like all these rave reviews or whatever is because it felt. First of all, Ryan Murphy's a fucking genius, like with anything that he creates. But it was the way that they humanized Jeffrey Dahmer, like just through his acting. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't like an actor that's like, let me act bad because I'm a serial killer. It was like, no, I'm gonna act like how he literally was. Yeah. Like this is literally how Jeffrey acted, and like. So I guess he like studied, watched all these videos, listened to all his confession tapes, read all the books, did all this stuff. And because obviously of how the thing that's most disturbing about Jeffrey Dahmer is that he was so extremely just horrific and vile, but the way he carried himself.
He was very personable. I mean, that's why there were so many victims.
Yes.
He was able to maintain that. He was able to, I mean, other than Glenda, his other neighbors did eat sandwiches.
He made.
Which I don't know if anybody knows. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Right, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
If you don't know about just Jeffrey Dahmer's history.
Yeah, obviously they didn't know that they were eating humans. But yeah, Soylent Green is people. So yeah.
I mean.
Well, yeah. So I haven't watched the show because it's not that I.
Well, hold on, because I want to hear this, but just I'm gonna set it up.
Okay.
So before I forget, he did an amazing job.
Yeah. It
was absolutely incredible. The series, start to finish, was really good. Now, the controversy that's happening is that some of the victims, specifically, again, if you know the history of Jeffrey Dahmer, there was this part of his trial that was aired, and one of the victim's sisters lost it during the victim impact statement, and she went off and was like, I fucking hate you, Jeffrey Dahmer. She was like, motherfucker. She was like, look at me, Jeffrey. I hate you, Jeffrey. I want you to die. And like just lost it, all these guards, and they reenacted the whole thing. She actually, and I'm pretty sure it was her because it was from their family, that made this statement saying that all the families are absolutely devastated and horrified by this series right now because they feel like that Netflix and Evan Peters is actually executive producer and Ryan Murphy, that all these people are just trying to make money off of their heartache, essentially. And so now it's become a big debate, and it brought up the question, like, is it smart to do these type of shows and movies and whatnot in order to let, the newer generations know, like, hey, this shit happened. We're going to put a light on this, and, and these are like actual things that can happen in real life. So you really need to look out for yourself. Or if you feel, some of the things, because the biggest thing also, for me, the reason that the show was a success was because the simple fact that I felt like it wasn't focused on the murders. It was more focused on, like, I like how they gave the victims a face. Like, it actually gave them a name, right? Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the series, it lists every one of them. And they basically almost feature all the victims. But more importantly, it focuses on the simple fact that, one, mental health needs to be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. There was plenty of times where Jeffrey said that he didn't want to do the stuff that he did, but he just couldn't help himself. And, but more than anything, the justice system, that whole series shed light on how fucked the justice system is. And when it comes to rehabilitating people or getting them help, there was a part where Jeffrey was in jail for a year and his father literally asked him like, oh, so did you see a therapist? Because his dad knew there was something wrong with him. And literally Jeffrey was like, no, Dad, like, nope, the judge was being nice and let me leave for 40 hours a week to go to work and then come back to prison. And he was like, let me go get the rest of my stuff because it was his last day they were leaving. And his dad went around the corner and almost collapsed because he was like, oh my God, like he needs help. I was like, he hoped that he would get mental something, therapy, anything, medication. None of that happened. So it really focused on the, how do I say this? I guess, negligent idea of how mental health was treated back then, and still at some points still is. Yeah. And then also it talked about mainly that drew me, and I think is success is because they literally focused on how messed up the justice system was, specifically when it came to low-income Black neighborhoods, because everybody used to always think that Jeffrey Dahmer specifically targeted people of color, when in reality, it was just simply because he could not afford to be anywhere. Yeah. And so it showed that throughout the thing to let people know, like, it wasn't that it was a race thing. It was more so that he was in a low-income neighborhood, and the gay club that he went to, it was where all the low-income people went. And it was just a flawed design. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it begs the question.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say this as a person who has not seen it.
Yes.
So I'm putting that right out there.
Break it down.
I feel like I am not saying it's not important to highlight all those things. I think it absolutely is.
Right.
But, and again, haven't seen it.
Yes.
There's a point where the victims, and not only just the victims, because they've passed away. You know what I mean?
Right.
But their families
have to deal with it.
Have to deal with this all over again. And I do like Ryan Murphy. I like him a lot. Mm-hmm. But he also is and has been known to be in the past exploitative a bit.
Okay.
So, I mean, look at his shows.
And honestly, I could actually kind of see that.
So, Glee. Yep. Okay. There's a lot in there.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. I loved it. I watched it. But, like, going back, it's a lot.
Yep.
Nip Tuck. I mean,
I've never seen Nip Tuck before. But
again, great show. Loved it. There's stuff in American Horror Story. You know what I mean? So it's not that I don't like it, and believe me, I love true crime. Like,
yeah.
But when I heard that the victims' families were unhappy with it, that kind of made me go, okay. Because at the end of the day, I think that there is a way to tell those stories without upsetting everybody.
And yes, I agree. I almost feel like they should have asked permission before they did it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a big thing. So, as we've talked about before, one of our favorite podcasts is My Favorite Murder.
Yes.
And
hey, Georgia. Hey, Karen. You're like our besties in our minds.
Right. And they have, like, grown into that over the years. Because there literally were times when they told a story and then the person would get in touch with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or victims' families. Yeah.
And some of them have, kind of educated them. They actually just recently.
I was going to say yes. Yes.
And I love her.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
On Instagram, and I cannot remember her name, but I feel like
it was Sarah.
So. No, it's not. But anyway, I'll find it. I'll link it in the description. I'll link her Instagram because she actually became a cop, and like and now she's like a victims' rights activist and things like that. She actually I think they did a documentary and things like that. So like,
we're talking about this woman who was a victim, and she ended up coming on the show.
Yeah,
and
she was at a live. She ended up being at a live.
Oh, she did a lot, because the one that I just heard.
Right, no, they had her afterwards.
Oh, so it was afterwards. Okay.
But she ended up being at a live show.
Yes.
And they brought her up and talked to her and stuff. But that was one of the things she brought up was that, you were telling these people stories. And like, you have to have that in mind when you are. Because we are all human. We want to hear all the dirty, disgusting details. But at the same time,
Is that at what expense?
Yeah, like you have to kind of go, okay, you're separated from the story so far away.
Right.
You know what I mean? This could be a movie. This could be totally made up. Like you're interested in that story, but like it could be a Stephen King novel and we don't, you know what I mean? But for the people whose families it is, that is their life. And every time something like this comes up, every time My Favorite Murder does a show on something, it's coming up. There's going to be newspaper articles. There's going to be this. Can you imagine going through that?
Yeah.
First of all.
Yeah. Imagine like a family member dying and now you have to hear about it and have other people tell stories about your family member.
And I'm sorry, but I have seen more than once, like how hot Evan Peters is as Dahmer and stuff like that. No.
I will say, right off the grip, they made Evan Peters look hot as Dahmer. And
I'm not saying there weren't people, because again, he was personable. Like he was able to get his victims. I'm not saying like
but
I'm not saying they need to make him like have a
here's the thing,
warts or something.
To go with that, the reason that they made him hot was because Jeffrey Dahmer. They don't really have pictures of it. But Jeffrey Dahmer literally, like, to get his victim, like when he was starting to like discover his sexuality, he literally was like hardcore working out and doing all that, which they feature it.
Sure he was.
But I think that's why they made him. But at the same time, it's inappropriate because it's like you're still like, regardless if that's how Jeffrey really was, you are still making him a celebrity, which was one of the issues they actually talked about in the show. So that was one part I know like
there are so many layers to this. I don't think you're correct, and I don't think I'm correct. I think there's somewhere in the middle.
No. I personally feel like it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much you like it, it could be all super incredible. It's never gonna is it supersede the fact, if that's the right term? Yeah, it's never gonna, like, the fact that these are people's victims. Like, these are people that died and these are their families. And regardless of how good they did, it is still going to be absolutely disrespectful to them. It's going to be inappropriate.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying right at the top of the show, I was talking about Summer of Sam and Zodiac. Those are movies that I've seen. I've watched things on them and things like that. Now, have I don't know. I'd have to go back and look and see if I like knew like victim names and things like that. And I don't know what the involvement of victim families were in the things that I've watched. So I don't know. I'm a hypocrite. I said, we're all human. We all want to know these stories.
It's so funny you say that, because my only thing that would make me okay with everything
is if the victim family signed on.
Boom.
Yeah, for sure.
If they were signed on, and if they did not sign on, that they were accredited for the same compensation that Netflix is making, that the directors are making, Ryan Murphy, Evan Peters, like, that was actually another topic that was in the show, was all these different people that were making Dahmer a celebrity and coming out with these. There's a point in the show, I'm sorry, and I promise you this is not giving the show away because it's like very, very in-depth, but there's a part in the show where motherfuckers really have the nerve to send their book covers of unauthorized autobiographies to the victims' mothers and ask for them to autograph them. Like, that is absolutely disgusting. And it's like moments like that even add more to the fact of why this is so disrespectful to them, because you literally just showed what they were experiencing, and now you kind of went and did that. And it's fucked up because it's so good.
I know.
And it's like,
that's the thing, is
I'm really trying not to it's kind of like it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so good. And that's why it's like, sometimes I fucking hate entertainment because it's just like, that's just so.
I think there's no good way to be like 100% perfect. All you can do is go with what your heart is telling you. If you hear something, educate yourself on it as much as you can. You know what I mean? And then move forward, you know? And if you've done something in the past that's stupid, apologize for it and move ahead, you know?
And it's not, and just throwing it out there, we are not shading Ryan Murphy. We're not shading Evan Peters. We're not shading Netflix. We're not shading anybody. What we're saying is, like,
for me personally,
relating to the victims.
Yeah.
Like seeing it from their point of view. Because we obviously, you know, we all, whoever has seen it, you're fans and you support it clearly. You know what I mean? So it's like, we can't see it from our side.
All I'm saying is, for me personally, I'm not going to watch it.
Right.
For those reasons.
Right.
And honestly, and I'm one person and I know it's whatever, but that's...
And honestly, if I would have known... If I would have known what the victims, how they felt, I probably wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah.
To be all honest, no matter how bad, like, if I would have read that or heard that, because you really didn't start hearing it until like a week after it came out, and most of us just watched it right off the grip.
Yeah.
So, but you're right.
It's all, and again, we are not demonizing anybody who who watched it and enjoyed it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what we. I'm trying to say anyway.
Right. Yeah.
I just like, for our say what, we kind of give our opinions on shit, and that's my opinion on the shit.
Yes. Period. And that's the perfect way to end. Boom! Boom! Let us know. Let us know how you felt if you saw the Dahmer series.
Or what do you feel about true crime in general?
Or true crime in general, yes.
What are some good ones? If you know of anything that have like taken like the victims' families. And you know what? I hate even saying victims. Like, well, especially with like the person we were talking about from My Favorite Murder, she's a survivor.
Yes. So these are survivors.
They're all badass fucking people, you know. And yeah. But anyway.
Yep.
Not to get off on another tangent.
Right. We could do this all day.
I know we really can.
And let us know what your favorite murder mystery song is, or give us some suggestions, and let us know what type of themes you might want to hear too. I'm just saying.
And stay tuned for more spooky season content.
Spooky.
We love you guys. Bye.
We'll see you later.